Hi, everyone. I am Alina Bricman, former President of EUJS, permanent EUJS enthusiast. Welcome to the Lowdown. Today's episode is the first in a series of special episodes around the number one event for young Jews in Europe. You know it, it's Summer U. I'll soon be having a short chat with my friend and outgoing EUJS President, Avital Grinberg, before having a one-on-one discussion with this year's EUJS presidential candidate, Emma Hallali. Hi, Avital. Thank you for joining us from sunny Malaga. How are Summer U preparations going? How are you doing?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you again. I'm all right. Malaga is incredibly hot, and the preparations are going well. We are busy and things are coming together. And finally, we have this feeling of it's starting. Like after preparing it for so many months, now it feels like it's becoming real. And that's very, very exciting to see.
Well, that's what we love to hear. And jumping straight to it, you've had a tremendously intense, super action-packed past year at EUJS. You recently decided to step down from the presidential race. You did so really offering a very wise and thoughtful reflection. And we thought it would be meaningful if you shared with listeners of the Lowdown how you came to that decision.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's been a great year, with so many unforgettable memories and with so many, like exciting moments and success moments. And it's also have been a very tiring year. And I think I imagine EUJS. I have strong ideas how EUJS should and can proceed for the next 2 years. And I wanted to be that person that makes these ideas real. But also will witness what I put in place this year, because there are a lot of things that we achieved that I do want to see also to continue, and I want them also to see in reality things that we've been planning. Yeah, and that was the initial thought. But at the same time, while I was campaigning, I also had my number one priority, and that's maintaining the organization and maintaining the leadership of EUJS. And eventually, I came to the conclusion that campaigning and running EUJS was really a lot, and it speeded up a process within me that we might have faced in quite soon, and that was that physically and spiritually, I am at a point where I cannot commit to 2 more years of exactly the same speed and exactly the same quality. And as someone that has high ambitions and that has is very self-critical, I do want to guarantee that I will give the fullest of myself to EUJS. And when the tank is empty, there is not much to be done. And then I think it's more important that somebody else takes over, despite it, not being my style, my ideas or something. But at least with the commitment that is needed to a position like this.
I love that. And kind of as an external, but very present observer, I can only agree about how much has happened this past year and how intense and wonderful it's really been. And that's precisely the thing I would love to showcase and really put the spotlight on. So, with this very wise and thoughtful reflection that you've had, I want to kind of switch over to looking at what's really been your proudest moment and your number one highlight over this past 1 year of a crazy ride.
Oh, it's been so much because it's like all from different perspectives. There's of course the like publicity perspective, and the publicity perspective is the Twitter trial that we filed together with Hate Aid, a legal justice organization in Germany. It's been a major step for EUJS. It's a very promising lawsuit against Twitter based on the incitement of the people, and it brought us into over 150 news outlets, a number that we haven't seen for EUJS in many, many years. And it also showed a different angle to how EUJS can serve to young Jewish students. It showed that we can use not just the activism on the streets, not just use the advocacy work, but we can use also a legal tool to address our issues. So, of course, I'm incredibly proud of that. But also, I'm also incredibly proud of a lot of structural things that we improved. We have a growing office. We fundraised good and a lot of money that will be at its best use for Jewish students, that will affect their work directly on the ground. We launched the Next Step grant, which is a grant for unions to do their own programs on the ground with their own people, which meant that EUJS transformed also in its relevancy to the unions. We are not just kind of like a strategical partner. We are not just how would you say it? An ideological partner. We are now also financial partner, which is something that I know that all the predecessors would have dreamt of realizing. And I mean, Annie and we had like so many conversations about it, what it means, what the implementation will look like. And this is really meaningful for me because it's the first step into opening the door for EUJS to also have a philanthropical arm. And we will continue in that because we also now have another additional program that will go the same road of micro grants and of grants. And this is something that I hope will really mean a lot for the future. And I'm convinced that this is already in EUJS history. So while it's been just a year for me and I'm saddened that it's just a year, I also know that this has been a turning point for EUJS.
I can definitely confirm that we all would have loved to be able to provide that support to member unions, and it is indeed very exciting that it's happening now. Thank you so much, Avital, for taking the time to chat. A big, big shkoye for your presidency and all your work, and very much looking forward to welcoming you in the EUJS Elders Club and to see you very soon at Summer U.
See you very, very soon. Thanks, Andy. And yes, I am staying around, and I really, really hope to be as helpful to EUJS as you are. You were a really big, you are a really big inspiration how alumni can keep their care and their enthusiasm for young Jewish students.
And keep enjoying Summer U.
Oh, yes.
See you very soon in Malaga. Now it's a real pleasure to be joined by EUJS Vice President and Presidential Candidate Emma Hallali. Emma will be chatting a bit about your candidacy and your vision and program for EUJS. But first, how are you doing? Are you ready for summer U?
Hi, Alina. It's really nice to be talking with you today. Well, I'm doing very good. Actually already at the summer U location. Everything is going great. Talking, like trying to understand the place. Really excited for every participant to arrive and that we can have like in-person conversations and fun for a week.
Sounds like an excellent plan. And let's jump right in it. I'm going to start with a classic question. What do you think is the biggest issue facing young European Jews today? What is top of mind for you? And how will you be engaging on that issue as part of your presidency?
Yeah, so that's actually a very good question. I think that, we are witnessing a rise in anti-Semitism on campuses, and especially through anti-Zionism. And I have unfortunately lived it when I was studying in the Netherlands. And I really think that EUJS should represent more Jewish students' life on campuses and put the emphasis on campuses and be more present. So there is like this thing about Jews must be and feel safe on campuses in general. And that's why I think that EUJS should be more engaged and, for instance, should promote and actually make sure that most of the universities in Europe try to adopt and implement our working definition of anti-Semitism. That would be a very good first step in this fight to make sure that we can actually have a thriving Jewish student life on campuses. But also, I think we should work with national unions, our unions, but also national student unions, and they can actually help us on the ground. And that's why we need a good ally network. I think it is very necessary, and that EUJS should really also put more effort into strengthening it and like expanding it. So and I think it's also part of the dissemination and the implementation of our EUJS guide on how to support your Jewish students on campuses. And I think that we have a lot of tools within the EUJS, and I really want to use everything that we already have to make sure that we make a bigger impact on Jewish student life on campus.
Thank you, Emma. And maybe from a more panoramic perspective, it's been a long-lived motto of EUJS that human rights are Jewish rights and Jewish rights are human rights. The war in Ukraine, the women-led uprising in Iran, a whole host of humanitarian crises around the world, rising populism here in Europe. We're in a moment of a lot of turmoil worldwide. And I wonder, where do you see EUJS's role in this? And I'd love to hear what are your plans, if any, for EUJS's human rights campaign Never Again right now.
Yes. So, I really think that defending human rights is necessary, and we need to continue working on it. EUJS is also about Europe. So we have this shared values of rule of law, democracy, freedom, respect for minorities. And I think that all of them are really about commitment to human rights in general. And we need to continue promoting those universal values. And also because we're a Jewish organization and a student organization, so we are concerned about every topics. And when it comes to the Never Again Right Now campaign, so the human rights hub of EUJS, I think that we need to strengthen the campaigns and we need to continue working on expanding the network. I'm really glad that it started again a week ago with the new campaign on the refugee rights in the Mediterranean Sea. I think it's going to be a beautiful campaign. So it's starting online, but hopefully it will also be like a more grassroots campaign with in-person events. So we need to continue. And, also we did a lot for Ukraine. We were also planning some different actions since the relaunch of NARN. And we have this big group of activists that actually want to be involved on the ground, and we need to use them, and we need to make sure that everyone can really work on human rights in their countries and with the different unions, and that we actually build a stronger human rights hub. I think it should be one of EUJS' top priority at the moment.
All right. Well, I'm very excited to see how that unfolds, hopefully in the future. Yes, EUJS is a European organization, but also Israel has been a major issue and focus in recent months. EUJS has made numerous statements related to Israel recently. How will a President Emma Hallali engage on this topic? And what do you believe is the role of young European Jews in this context?
Yeah, so I think we need to speak about Israel. I think we definitely need to speak, but we also need to engage with Israeli students and in more general with different civil society organizations to, better understand the complexity of the Israeli society. I also believe that the current political situation is very, very worrying and deeply concerning, and that's why we need to speak up. And that's also, again, we are promoting rule of law and democracy in Europe. So there is no reason that we're not doing the same when it comes to Israel. And we need to make sure that Israel remains a safe space for us in any case, so that we know that we have the states that are there and that actually promote our values again. And that's why I think it's also our duty to defend the Israeli democracy and all its components. But, there is this democratic aspect of Israel, but there is also the other aspect, which is that EUJS is a Zionist organization. And that's also why we need to take a stand when it is unfairly criticized, attacked, and especially when it tries to exist. So in other words, when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we need to be more engaged. We need, for instance, I think, to take example of the best practice of our unions. For instance, Austria, the UK, France, they are promoting dialogue. They have a lot of different Israeli trips and different Israel engagement programs. And I think we need to take examples of them and actually organize, for instance, a seminar in Israel when we can meet, as I said, different civil society organizations and actually Israeli students. I think it's important for us to talk to our counterparts. We are students, so let's talk with students and actually understand their vision. So I really want to do this. But I also think we also need to change the narrative directly in Europe and bring those Israeli students in Europe. That's, for instance, a project that EUJF has been leading. So the French Union of Jewish Students have been leading for the past years when it comes to bringing Israeli students, both Jews and Arabs, coming to our campuses and actually have the chance to speak with all students about the reality of their lives in Israel. And, they have this possibility of exchanging at the beginning. There might not be best friends, but, it's only through discussions that they finally at each other on social media, for instance. And I think we need to expand this kind of initiatives throughout Europe and throughout our European campuses. That would be very interesting. And that's definitely something I want to do if elected president. And one last thing when we talk about Israel, I think that EUJS is representing its unions and we all share different perspectives on Israel. And we need to acknowledge this and we need to make sure that whenever we take a stand, we represent our unions and not just a few of them.
Thank you. And as part of your campaign, you've shared a little bit of your own activist journey so far. Share with us what's been a highlight for you so far and what you sort of learned from it.
Yeah. So actually, when was it? It was February 2021. So it was 2 days after the outbreak of the war in Ukraine. We organized in Paris an international Shabbaton. So when I was national delegate in charge of international relations within the French Union, and we managed to bring together more than 300 international students, European students. And I think that was a very powerful moment. For fun fact, we had 100 spots at the beginning, and we saw that we had a very increasing demand, and we had to make sure that we can also welcome more than 200 more students. So that was I think, really powerful to see that everyone wanted to connect with each other. Everyone wanted to meet with each other. Like we had, 10 unions represented there. It was quite huge. And I think I was really proud of it, especially that we also managed to combine both this international Shabbat aspect, so the whole Jewish aspect, but also after Shabbat, we had this gathering in front of the Ukrainian embassy with all the unions together, and we actually demonstrated our support for Ukraine. And the fact that we were all reunited in the same place at the same moment during this period was very meaningful. And I really appreciate that. And I think I will remember this moment for the rest of my life.
Thank you. Lastly, it is a Lowdown tradition that we finish each episode with a quickfire question round. So I'm going to give you 2 options, and without thinking too much, you'll need to choose one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I am.
Perfect. So, Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer.
Calling or texting?
Texting.
Home office or office?
Office.
Night in or night out?
That's tough. Well, it's a night out.
Reform or overhaul?
Overhaul.
Activism or diplomacy?
Activism.
Summer U sessions or summer U parties?
Oh, that's very, very tricky. Can I say both? Because I really like both.
Impossible, sorry.
Okay, so parties. Sorry,
Don't
not
pander
sorry.
here, Emma. Final one, summer U color run or summer U gala?
Summer U gala.
Excellent choice.
Fancy.
Emma, that brings us to the end of our first ever Lowdown U episode. Thank you so much for joining us for the Lowdown, and see you all at Summer U.
Thank you very much, Alina. It was a pleasure talking to you.